and welcome back to Rapid Tech in 10, where we give you tech-related takeaways in 10 minutes or less. I'm your SoftwareOne host, Bree LeMay, and joining us this week, we have Jacqui O'Bree, Learning and Development Leader for North America at SoftwareOne. Welcome to Rapid Tech in 10, Jacqui.
Thanks so much for having me, Bree. Really looking forward to it.
Yes, me too. And for all of you viewers, Jacqui is dedicated to the success and growth of our SWOMIs, passionately developing them both personally and professionally. And I'm super excited to have her join us on today's talk, talking about something all of us experience in some capacity in our lives. So let's kick off today's session with a few fun questions. As I understand you love to travel, Jacqui, so I got a couple of questions for you just to warm up. How many states have you visited? Maybe we'll start there. And then walk us through your favorite trip.
All right. So I visited 33 states in the US, and that was actually part of one trip. So that will definitely be the two answers there. That is my favorite trip. When we moved to America, which was about 6 years ago, instead of settling down straight away, my husband and my two children, my two young girls at the time, we bought an RV and we traveled the states, and we saw 33 states before settling in Florida.
Oh, I love that so much. And you answered my last question, which was where do you reside today, which is in sunny Florida.
It is in Florida, yeah.
Love that. And I agree. I think traveling and exploring the world is just super inspiring. It opens your eyes to just a multitude of unique experiences, which kind of creates a newfound appreciation for parts of your life. So thanks for sharing that.
Absolute pleasure.
All right. Well, let's get into the heart of our time together. I know we only have 10 minutes or less. So while organizations frequently emphasize the significance of workplace culture, which is really important, I think one often overlooked facet is the culture of learning or creating a zone safe enough to learn. So I'd love to hear in your words, because you do this all the time, how can you establish an environment conducive to fostering a culture of continuous learning? Give us some tips.
We absolutely love the question. Obviously, something I'm passionate about. We need a learning culture in order to enable our leaders and our professionals in the organization. So I suppose the first sort of tool that we need are the resources. So by having a really robust learning library like we do, as well as a learning management system, that really provides the opportunity and accessibility to learn for everyone at SoftwareOne. So that's your first step in creating a learning culture, is making sure that learning is easily accessible and available to everybody. From there, we have to look at some processes. So our talent management team has launched a new goal setting framework, the 3-2-1 goals, 3 performance goals, 2 development goals, and 1 organizational, what we like to term citizen goal. But what I want to focus on there is we've got 2 development goals. So here our processes are now saying, okay, learning is important. We want to help you grow. What are you going to focus on this quarter, and how can we support you? So now we've got the tools, we've got the processes to support a learning culture. From there, we can get a little more granular, as I like to say. And it's about what are the habits now that we need to drive to create a culture of learning. And for me, and probably no surprise to you, Bree, is the culture of feedback. You've probably heard us say this so much this past year, but as a learning and development team, we've really been trying to drive, creating this culture of feedback within the organization, getting people comfortable with giving and receiving feedback. We've been using the Radical Candor framework to support everyone, and just really saying, hey, feedback is just data. It's just points on our journey to help us improve. And with that information, we're able to identify where we need to grow, what we need to do, what we need to learn in order to become the best version of ourselves. Another
I love
habit.
feedback as data. I love that line.
It's really helped me shape how I view feedback, because I think a lot of us sort of, when we hear the word feedback, we get a little bit tense, we a little get nervous, what's wrong with me? But essentially, it's just data. And it's to see it that way helps us take out the emotion of it and go, okay, well, what can I do with this data? Firstly, is it true? How could it be true? What shall I reflect on in order to move forward? So it really is just simply information that you can use or choose to use in your development and growth. And I think another practice that really enables a culture of feedback, which is tied quite closely, culture of learning, I should say, which ties very closely to feedback, is taking the time to reflect. As
Mm,
an organization, especially in the tech industry, it's very fast paced. Things happen all the time. But we really need to pause and reflect on what are we doing well? What's working? What's not working? Looking back at the past year or the past quarter, what can we learn from this? And having those
mm.
practices within our team and within our organization really reinforces that culture of learning. The challenge when we don't stop, when we don't pause, is that we can go very fast in the wrong direction. So it's
Mhm.
important to, use those opportunities like feedback and reflection to understand, okay, what should we do differently next time? What should we do more of? How can we improve? And essentially that's all about learning.
Yeah, and that's such a good point. Just pausing and reflecting. We're always trying to get to the next milestone. We're always trying to do more, which is amazing, but it's so important to take a step back and make sure that what you're doing is actually on course,
Yeah.
which I think is really relevant to my last question, which is with the technology industry constantly changing and
Yeah.
evolving and going super fast paced, probably feels like 100 miles an hour sometimes. What are some tips or exercises technology professionals
Mhm,
specifically can implement in their professional careers just to stay agile and ready to handle
mhm.
those changes? We know they're coming, so how do you
Yeah.
just stay ahead of it?
Okay. So I think for me, it starts with a question, and it's what are you doing today to prepare yourself for the future? So often when we look at learning and development, we're thinking, what skills should I focus on this quarter, right? What skill is important for me to learn to achieve this goal in this meeting next week? But we need to be a little bit more future focused when it comes to our development in a fast-paced industry as we're in right now. And to think about what skills do I need to stay relevant and to be in demand 5 years from now? And I know that's going to require some guesswork, right? Because things are so changing so quickly. But it's really just getting to that frame of mind to think about, okay, not just about what do I need to learn now, it's what do I need to start thinking about today in order to be relevant in the future. And how you do that, I suppose, is there's a lot of options. For example, LinkedIn has an annual learning report, which tells us about the top skills that we need for the next few years ahead. So look into that. What resonates with you? What piques your interest? I follow futurists that really give me insight into what's coming. And as you say, yes, there's guesswork and there's some predictions in place there, but it really does sort of shift your thinking from a present, from a today focus to a future focused. I recommend a futurist named Roger James Hamilton. He's someone I've sort of always stayed connected with. He's based in Singapore. And just his way of thinking has really inspired me about how I stay relevant and future focused in a rapidly changing industry. Um, and then I think just to add on to that, like change is constant, right? It's never going to go away. So to become more comfortable with the changes that are potentially happening or that are happening right now is to really reflect and to think a little bit about how do you view change. Getting in the right mindset as we navigate navigate ambiguity is so critical. So take the time to just reflect on what is your definition of change? How do you see it? Do you see it as an obstacle or do you see it as an opportunity? Think about how you've navigated change in the past. What can you learn from those experiences to support you as you go into the future? Because I heard this saying the other day, it is change will never be as fast or as slow as it is today. So we've got to get comfortable with it.
Yes, I love that. And just perspective, right? It's how we look at it. Thank you so much for sharing these incredible insights with us today, Jacqui. Super insightful. I'm going to implement these personally as well. And as always, I'm extending a big thanks to all of you for tuning in to SoftwareOne's Rapid Tech in 10. To hear about some of the most recent changes within the tech space, visit the link that we will provide in the comments. And from your friends in tech at SoftwareOne, as always, thank you so much for watching.